Joss here again with the Cypher Unlimited crew. We have our usual suspects of AD or Alpha Dean, or just simply Dean. Sorry, I forgot my little spiel there for a second. We have Sphinx 18 or Anthony. And Dina, I think we have a pretty fun little thing going on today. Well, what's going on?
Well, today, we're going to talk to Ethan, Ethan Hudgens, right? All right, got it right. I didn't want to mess up your name because we do that a lot too. We mess up people's names horribly. Game designer of Gobs of Gobs. Lots of people were digging it. I actually read the document. It's pretty doggone awesome. Northern Seat and other, and One Last Flight, illustrator, podcaster, and so much more. But I'm not even going to go into all the details. Ethan, welcome to Cypher Unlimited, and why don't you talk to the people? Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the fun.
Hello, I'm Ethan. I'm a game designer, I guess. I am now. I've decided that. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk too much because it sounds like you got a gauntlet of questions ahead of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to make fun games that people will enjoy.
Hey Ethan, welcome to the CU. You definitely a game designer, especially after I finished reading Gobs of Gobs.
Oh, so good.
That is definitely a title that you deserve and you should wear proudly because it's excellent work. So I guess, we're going to lead right into the questions, because that's what we do here. We're in depth with our questions. But could you tell us a little bit of how you got into gaming and, what led you to working on and designing games in the first place?
I literally I've been playing D&D as long as I can literally remember, which is probably around 10. But before that, we even played Heroes Quest, which I don't know if you know what Heroes Quest is. It's
absolutely
board game with all these little minis, and you explore dungeons, and there's the evil sorcerer Zargon, who's sort of the main villain played by the GM role. But yeah, I've basically just been doing it forever, and games are my favorite thing. They're my favorite thing.
I was gonna say I just actually purchased another copy of Heroes Quest.
It's good.
Under the tree for my daughter. She's never played, so that's gonna be fun.
It's still good. It's still a good little game.
And what made you decide to start designing games?
I guess just sort of a natural progression, because I've always been DM game master. That's always been my role. I always try to recruit all my friends to play, even though they've never heard of it before, and we'd just we'd start playing. So I never ran any modules or anything. I wanted to make all my monsters. I wanted to make all the places. I wanted to make locations. I wanted to make new spells. I was always designing. I enjoy it. It's fun. Creation is fun.
Nothing wrong with it, man. You're in good company, because I do it all the time too. I've always got an idea for something. So
I mean, basically, when you're the what is it, the standalone GM, you're always a GM. It kind of comes hand in hand when you want to keep interesting for players. Exactly. It's just stuff from the book. What if they read the book? Anybody can just pick up the book and read it. But it's just that natural progression. It's right, yeah. But I think that'll let us move on to the next question here, which is a thing everyone's talking about. Can you tell us a little bit of your new project, Gobs of Gobs, and what was your inspiration for that wonderful project? And I have to say, it is fantastic. I loved reading it, and the illustrations are all so cute, and I'll let you talk about it before I go prattle on.
I kind of mentioned this in the foreword of the book, but the reason why I made Gobs of Gobs is because all my friends are in very serious games, and I wanted to bring some levity into lives. And it's you hear Gobs of Gobs, and it's there's goblin adventure books, Pathfinder has one, blah. This isn't like that. This is those games are usually about chaos and destruction and murder and eating bombs. This is a lot. I just call it wholesome. It's a wholesome little game.
That is an excellent word.
Like one of the folk guys who is allergic to everything.
Yes.
You know, it's pretty cool though. You know, I don't know. You're familiar with No Thank You Evil, of course. I mean, you know Cypher system.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, for me, Gobs of Gobs to me just seems like a progression to move the younger kids right from No Thank You Evil into Cypher, and it just would be like a simple transition. It would be like, for me, I could see it being, you know, a step off world of Storia or something.
That,
you know,
it definitely has that feel, that sort of like ramp, because I refer to it as like it's a very good entry gate into Cypher system as well, just from outside. Just like if you're playing D&D, this is a good intro because the Cypher system book has a lot of stuff in it. There's so much stuff. It's a huge book. It's huge.
You know,
it intimidates a lot of people, and they're just like, well, here's 9 things. Pick one of the 9 things.
You know what was funny too, when I was reading it, what I thought was it reminded of, you know, the Pathfinder adventures We Be Goblins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If We Be Goblins and Toon had an illegitimate love child, Gobs of Gobs would be somewhere in that area. Like I saw it was, you know, it's so whimsical and so the best way. It's so whimsical and it looks like so much fun. Just reading it just sparked a whole bunch of adventure ideas in my head.
It's very Looney Tunes.
Yes.
Looney Tunes is a big inspiration on how I view a lot of like the action scenes, and like when you hit someone with a hammer, you're not breaking skulls. They just like rubber band and swing up against the wall.
Nice. Well, you know, and that's like cool too because you know, I was just thinking about some Toon related ideas to build on Cypher, and that would be Gobs of Gobs again would be like the perfect entry to start doing that kind of stuff. You know, since we're talking about it, you know, the setting Gobs of Gobs, it's original, you know, and it's, you know, compared to typical fantasy tropes, it's not the usual that you get. So can you tell us about the concept of turfs and the relationship between humans and gobs?
Yeah. So one of the inspirations for the setting was actually the movie Big Fish.
No, okay.
I don't know if you've ever watched that movie. It's very like mid 20th century Americana, but it's very like colorful and whimsical and
surrealistic.
It's very like magical surrealism or magical realism.
Right.
If you're aware of that genre. So there's normal human lives, but there's also like occasionally a wizard, or like the swamp is full of goblins. That's their turf, is this swamp. And you mentioned what a turf is. A turf is basically just the area a gob controls. It's their territory. This is basically our town, you know, as a gob. This is your town. This is where your friends and family lives. And gobs they protect it. They make sure that bad stuff doesn't happen in it. They keep their people safe. Like it's very like a lot of the terminology I steal from like childhood like clubhouses. Like
I can see that.
Like a turf is very similar to like a bunch of kids in a tree fort.
Yeah.
And they're like, anything we can see is our turf.
Right.
Well, one thing I found really particularly interesting about the turf section of the supplement here is that you kind of build your turf in the way you almost build a character, where you pick like the home in the biome, and that is special in some way. And even though it doesn't really, I don't think there were any real mechanical things, it can really help with building the narrative of the turf.
Right.
And it's awesome. I love it. Like, it's such a simple way to do that. It's so great.
It really is. You know, you bring it up. I was really thinking about it because, you know, I've been playing No Thank You Evil with the grandkids and stuff, and it's been pretty awesome. And now I'm thinking about Gobs of Gobs, and it's like, you know what? They keep talking about the playground down the street, so I could just see turning the playground into a gob turf. You know?
Exactly.
Especially if it was, if it is an abandoned playground is a perfect place for a gob turf to start.
Right.
I love the way you flip, Goblin Society on its end, and it's not like any other version of goblins in modern, traditional fantasy or what have you. It's a totally original take on its own, and I think people are gonna really appreciate it because it's really really original. And that's when I look at new games, that's what I look for. Something that I haven't seen before, and I definitely haven't seen, your take on goblins, which is awesome.
Thank you.
So, Anthony?
Yes. It's pretty evident by reading Gobs of Gobs that consent and or what you call inclusivity are very important to you. It's throughout the entire book, you could tell that it's very evident, even in your rules mechanics, and that's a great thing, actually. We all big fans, and we all, we find, if anybody watches our show knows that we big on inclusivity in gaming, and we really appreciate that. So first off, thank you for that. And was it always your idea to incorporate those concepts in your mechanics?
Well, it wasn't. I didn't actually go out of my way to do that. There was a very particular point when I was making Gobs of Gobs, because that completely turned everything around in my head. There was a moment when I'm like, wait a second, I could make this something completely new. Because in its original first draft, when I ran it as a one-shot in between 2 episodes of Owl of Lysia, it was still Chaos Gremlins go steal a pig. There was that element of wholesomeness to it because there was no murder. I think Grant Ellis hit someone with a plunger in the face. That was his weapon. But there was a moment when I was sort of writing all the lore and all the foci and things. It's just I have a chance to make this, like you said, I have a chance to make this special, and I want to go that route. I want this to be just nice. I just want it to be nice. Nice was the main goal, and I was like, well, how do I make things nice? Well, there's all this talk of inclusivity and all this there's a lot of negativity attached to all that on the flip side, and I'm just I just want to make a nice place. We're gonna push that over here. Let's make some nice consent-based mechanics, and let I contacted a couple sensitivity readers for a couple of the sections. There's a small note on, if you're playing a deaf gob, you automatically know gob signs, and you can read the lips of people who are within immediate distance of you. And all your friends know your signs, basically. Everyone inside your squad. There is who rides a pig, and you can replace pig with a lot of different things, and one of those things is a wheelchair. And so you could be a gob knight on a wheelchair and roll down hills and hit people with mops.
I just think it's very refreshing.
It is.
Even your foci that you created were, all just they just kind of hit you in the feels, who is here for smooches? That has got to be one of the, coolest foci.
That was actually built for a very specific group of my friends.
But now that we're talking about the fun stuff that you crafted for, as far as character options go, right? So you crafted a whole bunch of fun descriptors for the gobs and Gobs of Gobs. So you have things like cute, big-headed, big, hungry. So where did you get the idea for so many wonderfully whimsical descriptors, and was it difficult to figure out what words you wanted to play with for the Gobs of Gobs descriptors?
Funnily enough, a lot of it actually came out of, it actually was a backwards thing. As I came up with a cool mechanic I wanted, and then built the description out of out of hungry. I was like, I want a gob with a 4th dimensional stomach. How do I do that?
Okay, definitely a good process. They're all so good.
And the names are fabulous as well. Just the names alone.
one of the exceptions of that is I did come up with pyromantic first, and then made the entire description based off like, what would a pyromantic be? Someone who burns fan fiction? Sure.
But see, now you're making me think about, I need to add a new descriptor in there, fabulous, and that's going to be my work my way into doing Pepe Le Pew with he who smooches.
You'd have to give him the ability hair flip.
Exactly. that's gonna be the move. It's gonna be I'm gonna just put it as the dynamic move. So it'll be a hair flip, an eye flutter. Perhaps they purse their lips just a specific way. Like it was a movie with what's his name, the comedian, where he was the model.
Zoolander?
Ben Stiller.
Zoolander,
yeah. Blue Steel.
One of the only movies I've seen, apparently.
Oh, yeah. So, we were just talking about it, and we're there. So, same thing. What was it, what did you have to do? What was the design aesthetic to come up with, for your foci? I mean, you have, who bites, who's allergic to everything. And like we were just saying, the one who smooches.
He who's allergic to everything, I want to play that. That's the one I want to play. It's just so awesome.
A lot of the foci actually came from kind of like an exaggeration of people I know. I am the one who is allergic to everything. That's me. That's my self-insert. But like, I don't know. It's kind of a natural progression. Like, okay, this is a cute, wholesome gob adventure based off of cartoon physics, and what kind of foci would be effective for that? And there was some consideration to the setting for some of them, like some of the latecomers. Who Knows the Secret of Bugs was actually a late addition, because I wanted something a little more magic-y in the mix. And they literally listen to bugs and learn their secrets and learn how to be bugs.
And that was actually the one I want to play. If we play this,
So
that's the one I want to do. And it's funny because I'm actually I have a fear of insects, like in real life, all insects. Like I can't deal with anything. But that focus looks very fun.
Let's see. Oh, Who Hails from Another Planet was probably one of the last two I made.
I really dig that one.
And that one was just because, like, you have in cartoons, there's always that one character who doesn't quite fit. Also Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I claim this planet in the name of Mars.
Yeah. So...
But it's just awesome that stuff is included too, like, space ? Like, I think that's how you put it in the actual documents, maybe
On the
space. Yeah, on the moon. So it's just cool that it opens it up to that sort of avenue of exploration, which is just.
Here's what I mean. You can actually have that scene. I love the fact that you can take parts. With the Who Hails from Space. You can take parts from the ship and make stuff.
I did want it to be Cypher system, right? Like Cypher system, you can use it in any genre, and I kind of wanted I should make sure that this includes, sci-fi elements and fantasy elements, and maybe you want to play in dinosaur times because Gobs and dinosaur times would probably be great. I haven't played dinosaur time Gobs.
Predation Gobs, let's go. I'll run Predation Gobs on them.
It's just I wanted to include all of those genres. They added a whole bunch in the new book, and I didn't have time to I didn't want to make a horror gob. That's not what it's about.
It kind of defeats the purpose,
yeah. It's about fun, wholesome times. There are some good rules in the romance section that you'd probably steal.
Nice.
I'm just wondering, were there any descriptors that foci that you didn't include or had to exclude because it no longer fit the concept of the game?
No.
That's a quick
So
enough
he's
answer.
I got to include everything.
I got to include. In fact, I got to a point where I'm I should add another one. Because like I said, I made two sort of at the very end just because I wanted 9 and 9.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Why not? So at the very end, I added Pyro Romantic as a descriptor, and then Who Hails from Another Planet and Who Totes a Cannon.
Who tilts a cannon is great.
Well, I'll have. I mean, they're all amazing, but another one that stood out to me when I first looked at the list of them was "Who knows a curse word?" Because when I first looked at it, I was like, first instinct was say, "Hey, that's like a magical like hex, right?" But then, thinking about the subject matter, I was like, "No, they mean an actual curse word." And I actually read. I was like, "Yes, it's an actual curse word."
The thing about Who Knows a Curse Word is it's actually both. The thing about Who Knows a Curse Word is I wanted to play on that duality of that meaning, because it starts off with you say butts and someone goes.
I was like, oh my goodness, they said that.
Well, I never.
And then by
You guys ever watch Key and Peele?
No.
Oh god,
I watched this of them.
They actually do a skit like that. And basically what it is like these two grown men and they're talking trash about like when they're talking to their girl or their wife or whatever. And they like, you know what? Yeah, man, because she was talking back to me and I went, bitch. And they whisper the word. But every time they do it, they get further and further away from the house. By the end of the skit, like on a space station, in space suits, out in space, it was great.
Yeah, it does that thing where it starts off with you just saying a curse word, and by the end of it, you have a familiar and a witching license.
Right. Exactly.
So
it's all the stuff is just so fun.
I do a lot of wordplay in it.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome. All the foci are absolutely awesome. But not only were you the lead designer on Gobs of Gobs, you also did all the illustrations.
I did,
Yep.
mostly because I had to wait for a long time.
So this is the obvious question: do you prefer designing the game or actually illustrating it?
This was one of the rare instances where, because I actually drew the cover image, the one with all the gob pirates hanging off the turtle boat. I drew that, and then I looked at that picture because I drew it for an article back when I was still writing articles for Encounter Roleplay. I used to write articles for the website, and I drew that, and it was a short like encounters. You find some goblins in a swamp. They're the pirates of Oozle Swamp. And then just before I released that article, they weren't doing articles anymore. So I had this image sitting there, and I looked at it one day. I'm like, I could make a campaign about this. I could make a game about the pirates of Oozle Swamp. And then that kind of devolved into one day Marcy needed a break from Owls of Lysia, and I was like, oh, I could run a one shot. How do you feel about being goblins? Okay, we could do that. And I wrote all the tier 1 abilities right then for like 6 different kinds of gobs for different foci. And that's really where it started.
Oh, that's awesome. And I have to ask this question because Al will kill me if I didn't. But on your Twitter feed and on Facebook, we've seen that you have a gob puppet. And do they have a name? Because Al's in love with...
Yeah, I actually am.
My name's Mops.
Mops!
It's so good. So, oh man, but it's
a side note.
No,
I was just gonna say this. When I approached them about after me and you spoke, Ethan, about you being on the show, the only thing Al said was, "Is the Muppet gonna be on with him?"
That was quite honestly like when he mentioned that you wanted or you were gonna come on. I was like, he's gonna bring the Muppet, right? Like, that was quite literally the first thing I asked.
I actually did a short question and answer video with Mops. That's on YouTube.
Oh, you gotta give us that link. We'll post it on our link.
Right. Let me see if I can find it again. But yeah, no, I made a puppet. I got really bored for a couple days. And I decided to make a Muppet. And I was like, well, I might as well make a gob.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
So yeah, with a little help from my mom.
Oh yeah, that was gonna be my question. Like, who made it? So it was you and your mom. Cool.
I made it. She helped me with specifically like one series of stitches that were very difficult.
Gotcha.
I have one more question leading into what was harder, the design aspect of the game or doing the actual illustrations?
What's interesting, they fed each other. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like I would sometimes I'd design something like, oh, I want to draw it now, or sometimes I'd draw something, oh, I got to design it, and it was this like constantly feeding motion. And originally, I didn't think I was going to do the art. I'd actually intended originally to kickstart it to fund artists, but that process took so long. I had enough time to just do the art.
It's awesome.
No, I mean, no, I'm actually, it's like actually, I mean, I feel like it's a good thing because the art just adds all that, like, it's really charming to art, like, that's included. It's just so good.
It adds to the levity, you know, and it validates the wholesomeness that you were trying to reach, you know, so it does. It's really cool that your art is that, I guess you could say, catalyst that brings it all together. As you sit there and you read the words, and then the art, the pictures, you know, like with any good product, the art in the book should evoke some sort of emotion, connection, creative process, you know. So as I was reading the book, you know, and looking at your pieces of art, you know, it's like every moment, you know, I could just see these guys, you know, I could see, you know, he who smooches coming up. You know, I could just see it. You know, I was having those moments, so it's pretty good stuff.
And honestly, I can't I have a stepdaughter, and she, you know, here with us, you know, not all the time, and she came tonight, like, you know, while we started this, and I can't wait for us to be done here so I can go and show her the illustrations from. She's 5 years old, and I know she's gonna be like, ooh, like, I know she's gonna like absolutely adore the artwork, and you know that again should say something about like the audience it can reach out to. And I might even try to convince her to play some, you know, Gobs of Gobs, No Thank You Evil version, but let's move it along here a little bit, but you know, you were a cast member on, you know, on Marcy Valen's Olive Lysia, right? So you're no stranger to actual plays or Twitch streams or whatever have you. Do you have any plans of perhaps maybe streaming some Gobs of Gobs adventures sometime down the road, or any something?
So I as it was sort of born out of being a one shot, I've actually run it several places now as one shots. I ran it on unMadeGaming's charity event once. He runs a monthly charity event, and we did kart racing down what ended up being a volcano.
It was like wacky races. Like
That's the only way to kart race.
Well, it was one of those things because it was a charity event. You know, their donations got to a certain point, and something weird was supposed to happen. Like, I guess the mountain's a volcano now.
That's awesome. That's actually awesome. Wow.
I didn't know about that going in. So, and I know we've ran it on Little Red Dot's channel, who is currently hosting Owl of Lysia. And I will be doing a Christmas special sometime in the middle of the month. We're doing a Gobs Christmas special.
Oh, awesome.
Don't you want to run a Gobs of Gobs for the Cypher Unlimited?
I mean, I am more than willing to do so. Like, I think that would be awesome. A blast.
I'm gonna hold it to you. Hold that to you, Ethan.
we'll talk and we'll create that fabulous descriptor, and then, you know, I can flip my head.
But like, I enjoy running Gobs of Gobs. It's a low prep for GM. I just sort of throw numbers around and make fun circumstance. Like, I'm bringing some character sheets with me to PAX Unplugged. I've got my books with me. I actually printed a couple of copies.
Awesome.
And yeah, I'll be there to play if anyone wants to play Gobs of Gobs.
Oh, nice.
Sounds good.
I just thought of this question, but was Cypher system your initial choice for Gobs of Gobs, or was it? Just
because it's the system where you get to make fun words and then mechanics after it, like, right? Like, it's. I didn't want it to be a class-based system. Like, I didn't want to use D&D, because you can't make. Like, I guess I could have made a type of wizard who was allergic to everything, or maybe a sorcerer. They had like allergy magic. That's not as much fun to design. Cypher's very fun to design for on the player end.
It really is. Love it.
I mean, That's a T-shirt right there. You get to make come up with fun words and then make mechanics for them.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
That's such a good
Just
way to
come
put
up with
it.
a fun word and then okay, now we got to figure out how to make this fun phrase work. That's awesome.
Nice.
It's more or less how my
So-
Invisible Sun game goes.
Now, we do know that you have designed a few other things, and we've heard about One Last Fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's supposed to be kind of interesting. Can you give us a little bit or tell us a little bit about that?
So the easiest way for me to describe it is somewhere on the axis between For the Queen, the card-based prompt game, and Heroes Quest, which I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Because it's a band of heroes' last adventure on their way to their nemesis.
Oh, awesome.
And your nemesis, you draw your nemesis, you answer some questions about them, and then you have all your heroes. And every card has a question on it, but there's an adventure deck that you build, and you draw cards from that. And then you answer the questions, and then there's a challenge. You have to roll some dice, and every character has like a symbol in the top corner, and they roll extra dice based on if the challenge matches the symbol.
Is that
Yes.
out yet?
It is. I also have a physical copy of that I'm bringing to PAX.
Oh, awesome.
It's a shame I'm not going.
Where could our viewers purchase that if they wanted to?
They can purchase that on Itch.io.
Oh,
awesome.
okay, gotcha. So yeah, well, you can definitely post that link in the Twitch, and we can also, when we post it on YouTube, we'll definitely include that in the description.
Yeah, he gave me the links earlier today, so I'm definitely gonna post those.
Yeah, I just toss that there. I was supposed to look up
Awesome.
the YouTube video, and I didn't do that.
Yeah,
I got
Hey,
distracted.
Nah, no worries. We got time, and I'm pretty good at searching YouTube. If I have to find it, I'll find it. You had me at For the Queen because I absolutely love that game.
Mhm.
So if it's even halfway anywhere near that, I'm definitely gonna pick that up. I'm probably gonna pick it up right now as we speak.
it actually sounds really fun, and I want to pick that up, and also like I recommend to everyone. Oh yeah, and then, where can people buy Gobs of Gobs? Is that on Itch.io also, or?
Gobs of Gobs is not currently available.
Oh,
As I mentioned, I'm waiting on licensing for it.
gotcha. Okay.
That's why it's taken so long. And the reason why I printed physical copies and bringing it to PAX is because I'm gonna slap it on their table.
He's like, here, look how ready it is.
Well, if we have anything, it's definitely worth a license.
Mhm.
And thankfully, thank you. You gave us review copies of it, and I'm gonna play the crap out of that game.
Yeah, and as soon as we can throw money at it, I'm definitely gonna throw money at it. Like,
And it looks like Little Cup of Joe is actually confirming that One Last Fight is super fun.
Yeah, she was one of my playtesters.
okay.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
hello there, playtester. Welcome to Cypher Unlimited.
I'll definitely be picking up a copy.
Yeah, I kind
That's
of want to. After I read it, I was like, "Oh man, I should play this now." And we lucky enough to have 2,700 players on the Cypher Unlimited Discord server, so I could literally make that happen. So, we'll post a one chat. Hey, anybody want to play Gobs and Gobs? We'll get a group in like 10 minutes.
Absolutely. So,
Good times.
so Ethan, yeah, definitely come on over to Cypher Unlimited, hop on and play some games with us too. So
He's on the server.
I'm there.
that's cool. All right.
Here's our last of our easy questions. So not only are you busy with game design, and you also have an excellent podcast called Too Many RPGs.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that show and where can our viewers find it?
So we've slightly changed format recently just because we've both been very busy, and it turns out scheduling is very hard. Which I'm sure you understand.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So me and my co-host Lauren, we have a guest from a actual play podcast or stream or a fan of the show come on and talk about their show, basically whatever show they want to talk about, and we ask them questions, and it's generally a good time. We goof off, that we don't actually answer all the questions we mean to, but we get all the information. It's fine. It's time. The last 2 episodes, we actually want to talk about some of our favorite systems. The last episode we talked about Cypher system. I wanted to talk about Cypher system and something I refer to as the shiny red button philosophy. Cypher system's just a bunch of shiny red buttons to press.
Yeah.
That is the entirety of the game. Here are a bunch of shiny red buttons. Press them. Cool things happen.
And who doesn't want to press shiny red buttons?
Especially if they're like blinking red. It's just like, yeah.
That's awesome.
But before that, we talked about Mouse Guard, which is one of our favorite systems.
Are you on iTunes or where could they find your podcast?
iTunes, Spotify, Podomatic. Maybe somewhere else. I don't know. I'm not in charge of that. I'm in charge of editing.
I know that feel.
So we'll definitely have the links down below. We'll either post it here. If not, you can catch the same episode on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we'll have all the links available for not only Ethan's podcasts, but all his products as well.
Yep. And yeah, I think that wraps up again. Our easy questions. So congrats, you made it through. And that leads us to
your soul.
Yeah,
we are
for your
coming
soul.
for your soul now.
Via our rapid fire questions, where we really dig in, find out what really makes you tick, the true essence of your soul. And yeah, I guess I'll kick things off here. Again, it's gonna be simple, or question. Just pick one, and you can explain yourself or not. Your call. But gonna kick us off here as player or GM.
I really like GMing. Like I said, I like to make things. You don't get to make nearly enough things as players.
Well, now with the player and choosing mechanic and Cypher, you have a little bit more of a way of making things. Nowhere near as a GM though, but it's something.
You don't usually get to make mechanics though.
Yeah, that's true.
So pull punches or TPK?
I've never actually killed a player.
Oh.
I've gotten real close, and that's my favorite place to be. Is here's what would kill them. Let's be right here.
Just
right?
it.
Just what was it? I ran a campaign called North Sea over on unMadeGaming's channel, and every single fight, I almost killed them every single time. It was great. I loved it. Well, because that's when you like push people. Like I don't like to just throw like a handful of skeletons. That's no fun. Like, oh, they crush all the skeletons.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! Instead of having like a bunch of fights, I want to have 2 really big ones.
Yeah. That's really good.
That's
Get straight to the mini boss and the major boss.
Nice.
Online or in-person gaming?
I prefer in person, but I don't get to do it enough.
That's the
I used to have
usual
an
answer.
at-home group. I like to make props. I had like a board, like a grid board, and I'd have Jenga pieces and actually make sets with them.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was always fun.
That's the story of my life. I never get to in-person game anymore.
Yeah, I don't get to use all my props, but I'm always still getting stuff.
All right.
Like,
So,
oh yeah, the invisible sun. But yeah, so announce the difficulty number or keep it a secret.
I like players to know, because you know what? Sometimes I like them to panic a little bit. I like them to be like, oh, I should use all my stuff.
It's like, that number's really high. Here's all my effort.
Yeah.
so salty or sweet stacks at the table?
My favorite table snack is pretzels, because they don't have a powdery surface and they're not greasy.
Good answer.
They're the perfect gaming snack.
Good answer.
And after you eat enough of them, they become sweet.
And they go well with water, juice, or beer.
So yeah, pretzel's best gaming snack.
Good answer.
RP or combat?
I mean, I like both. Both are great. Give me both. Give me. That said, like, I've gone out of my way to make, like, in Gobs of Gobs, I made a conflict system that mimics the combat system, because I didn't want you to be fighting all the time. I like combat just because it's a tactical thing. Like, you have an objective, you have ways to complete that objective, and it's not just rolling a dice. I want to be able to think a little bit. So I do like combat for that reason. I don't like combat because you get to kill things. I like combat because it's the interesting part of the game usually.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
so,
absolutely true.
Oh,
No, I was just saying it's true.
PDFs or physical books?
I'd like PDFs because you can control F. You can find what you need to much easier. They're usually like hyperlinked and bookmarked, and I like physical books. I like to if I'm playing at a table, I will have a physical copy. Some cases, the physical copy is just nice to have. Like I have Ryutama on my shelf. I've never played Ryutama. I'd like to one day. It's just a very nice book. It is probably the nicest RPG book I've ever seen.
Nice.
That's
Very
true.
pretty.
So pen and paper, notes or digital?
I use Google Sheets for my notes. The nicest thing you could do with that is you can have like a cell with the title in it, and then there's something you can like add notes. So when you click on it, a window pops up with all the notes. So you can see all the names of things and click on whatever you need. Boop, there's all your notes on it.
Oh, that's cool.
My Invisible Sun game has so many nouns. We have so many nouns. There are so many people, places, things, ideas that I have. Like, I wouldn't be able to keep my notes straight on a piece of paper for that.
Nice.
So having the digital copy is great.
Pre-written adventures or original content?
I like to make my own content.
I think we could shoot because I one comic.
Strangely enough, I will play a campaign and then write a module for it sometimes. Like that's kind of what happened with Gobs of Gobs. Like we played a one shot. I'm like, I'm gonna make a whole game now.
You know what's funny? We've had several game designers on our show, and all of them happen to write adventures for a living, but they all answer the same way. I want original content, but then you're selling us adventures.
Or you can't help it because I mean, even myself, who's been playing forever, I remember I would get, modules back in the day, especially when that was the new thing, barrier peaks or keep on the borderlands or something. I remember getting it, reading it, and going, you know what? They didn't have enough stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody I'm sure there's people out there, but I don't know anyone that purchased, I've purchased a lot of adventures in my life, but I've never ran an adventure verbatim, exactly out of the book. You take what you want.
I played in 2 modules, one of which I can never recommend, which is Wrath of Winter by Pathfinder, which is insane. At one point, you go to Dragon Pluto, and the next moment, you're on human Earth, fighting Rasputin a couple times and killing him many times.
What?
It's a weird campaign. You're also hiding out in Baba Yaga's house. That's how you travel dimensions. As you go through a door, the house changes, and then you go through another door, and you're in a different place.
Interesting.
That campaign didn't end because we got tired and bored of it because you have to go find Baba Yaga's death.
So you'll be going around forever.
Wow.
Lost Mines of Fandelver, though, the
starter
kit.
kit.
It's great. It's a great adventure. I love Lost Mines of Fandelver. It teaches you everything what Dungeons and Dragons is.
I will say though, you can't TPK a party with a dragon. Like at 3rd level, they have there's a dragon scene.
We killed it. We killed that dragon at 3rd level. I was a divination wizard, and I rolled a 20 on my divination that day. And then I pointed at the paladin like, you got a spell slot left? Smite it.
Nice. Oh man, but those are our rapid fire questions. You survived. And yeah, I think that we'll wrap up our little conversation here. It's been a fantastic, wonderful talk. Thank you so much for coming on, telling us all about Gobs of Gobs and your other ventures and what you do. We'll be sure to include links, when we post this stuff on YouTube. But for our viewers now and for our viewers on YouTube, how can they reach you online? Like Twitter, Facebook? Like what's the best way to reach you?
Best way to reach me is on Twitter. I am Super Robot Bear on the Twitter. I'm gonna type that in chat in just a second.
I'll definitely include that for you. But yeah, any other places, or is Twitter just the best one?
It's mostly Twitter. If you ping me in the Discord, I'm in the Cypher Discord, the Cypher Unlimited. Yeah, and I'm always excited to talk about things we're working on. Or...
Well, you definitely have an open invitation to come on here whenever you want to. I mean, we had a fantastic time with you, Ethan. This was absolutely fabulous, and we got to make Gobs of Gobs a reality because I need to play that, and I need more people to play that because it's an awesome product. And
I also need more people to play it.
Well, all you have to do is say, "Why don't you say the word, man? We're all over it."
Yeah, we'll definitely try to get a.
We're all. Oh, you know what? I just thought about something. This is what we'll do, guys. We all love Gobs of Gobs. Al, when he says it's time, it's a go. You run Gobs of Gobs Predation. Anthony, you run Gobs of Gobs.
Our favorite
burger. And I'll run Gobs of Gobs Unmasked.
We'll make it happen.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, because I didn't write any types for the game.
Yeah.
So you could very well just
anything, yeah.
Slip in whatever type you need to.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, could you just imagine, Gobs of Gobs in Predation? This whole, we didn't know goblins were back there. We didn't know gobs were back in the Cretaceous period, but hey, guess they're there.
I mean, and I mentioned this on Twitter at one point. You could replace gobs with anything. Like when Untitled Goose Game came out, I'm like, you could play Gobs of Gobs with geese.
Yeah, Untitled Geese of Untitled.
just a squad of geese coming down the street, just one's sneezing all over the place, one's just biting everybody.
That's definitely a fun take on it.
And the thing about Gobs of Gobs, what it really makes me think about, I don't know if you ever seen it out, but you guys should all be familiar with Gremlins. I could just see Gobs of Gobs being Gremlins.
There's just so many fun things. Yeah, I'm assuming that's what he meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Gremlins from
the movie. Yeah.
The Furby prototypes.
But yeah, that's the beauty of this, supplement. Just so many different things you can do with it, and still keep that wholesome fun about it. But yeah, I think that brings us to our end of our little discussion here. Thank you everyone out there for watching who stopped by to watch our little discussion here. If you have not followed us, be sure to drop a follow on our Twitch. Be sure to drop a subscribe on our YouTube if you can as well, because we'll be posting it there, and you'll be able to get the full information on all the links we talked about during the show. And yeah, any final thoughts, fellas?
No, but as soon as Gobs of Gobs is out, you got this street team of Cypher Unlimited, like Grant Endless likes to affectionately call us, and we'll be out on the street pumping Gobs of Gobs to anybody that'll listen.
Brilliant loser. You're absolutely right. Out there, that Gremlins 2 is basically Gobs unmasked.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you again so much for coming on, Ethan. It was an absolute pleasure. And thank you all out there for watching. Be sure to follow, subscribe, share the video around, hit notifications so you can see when we go live and when we post videos. And yeah, stay wonderful, everyone. And from us at the CU, we will see you later.